The bustling terminal at JFK Airport buzzed with activity. Travelers hurried past one another, their footsteps echoing against the tiled floor. Luggage wheels clicked rhythmically, blending with the occasional announcement over the intercom. Drake sat quietly in a corner, his signature hoodie pulled up and a baseball cap tilted low to shield his face. He scrolled through his phone, keeping a low profile, but it was hard for someone of his fame to go unnoticed. A few people nearby whispered and glanced in his direction, their expressions flickering with recognition, but they respected his space for now. Drake loved his fans and the energy they brought, but moments of anonymity like this were rare, and he cherished them. Today, he was en route to Chicago for a charity event aimed at raising funds and awareness for underserved communities. Unfortunately, his flight had been delayed, leaving him stranded in the crowded terminal. As he sat waiting, scrolling aimlessly, a sudden shift in the terminal's energy caught his attention. Across the room, an elderly black man sat alone by the window. He wore a clean, but weathered coat and was intently reading a worn paperback. His calm demeanor stood out in the otherwise chaotic terminal. Drake smiled to himself, appreciating the quiet dignity the man exuded. However, the peace was abruptly shattered by sharp, condescending voices. Why is he just sitting there, taking up space? One woman's voice rang out, loud enough to be heard over the surrounding noise. Drake's eyes darted to the source of the commotion. A group of 3 travelers stood a few feet away from the man, their expensive suits and designer luggage marking them as business professionals. One of the women sneered. "I mean, shouldn't there be a shelter or something for people like him? Why is he even here?" The man in the group chuckled, adding, "Bet he doesn't even know how to use the self-check-in kiosks," slowing everyone else down. The elderly man didn't respond, but Drake noticed his hands stilling, the slight tension in his shoulders betraying his discomfort. Something inside Drake twisted. He'd seen enough disrespect and hate in the world, and now it was playing out right in front of him. He stood, pulling his hoodie tighter over his head, and approached the group. "Hey," he said, his voice calm but firm, "that's enough." The trio turned toward him, startled. One of the women folded her arms and sneered, "And who are you supposed to be?" Drake didn't flinch. "It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that you leave him alone." The man in the group smirked. "Oh great, another hero. What's next? A lecture on morality?" Ignoring the sarcasm, Drake turned to the elderly man. "Sir, are you okay?" The man looked up, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of quiet resilience. "I'm fine, son," he said, his voice steady though tinged with sadness. "I've dealt with worse." Drake clenched his jaw. That wasn't the point. He shouldn't have to deal with this at all. The businessman stepped forward, his tone dismissive. "We weren't even talking to you. Why don't you mind your business?" Drake took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm. "It is my business when I see someone being disrespected. What you're doing isn't just rude, it's wrong." One of the women rolled her eyes low. "Please, we didn't hurt him." People are just so sensitive these days. Before Drake could respond, a voice from the crowd interrupted. "Is that Drake?" A murmur spread across the terminal. Heads turned, and phones appeared as people started snapping pictures and recording the scene. The businessman's expression shifted from annoyance to something resembling unease. "Wait, are you serious?" Drake sighed, realizing his anonymity was gone. "Yeah, it's me. And I'm telling you to back off," the man scoffed. "Oh, now we're getting a lecture from a rapper. What's next? A motivational speech?" Drake didn't rise to the bait. Instead, he turned back to the elderly man. "Sir," he said gently, "what's your name?" "Henry," the man replied, his voice soft but steady. "Henry, would you mind if I played something for you?" Henry looked surprised, but nodded. I suppose that'd be all right. Drake pulled an acoustic guitar from his carry-on bag. The crowd grew quiet, curious about what was about to unfold. He strummed a few chords, the warm tones filling the air, and began to sing. We rise above the noise and hate, finding strength in every fate. No matter the struggle, no matter the fight, we shine together, breaking the night. The terminal grew silent, the tension melting away as Drake's voice soared. Even the trio of business travelers seemed caught off guard, their smug expressions fading. When he finished, the terminal erupted into applause. Henry wiped a tear from his cheek, his book forgotten. Thank you, young man, he said. That was beautiful. Drake crouched down beside him. You're beautiful, Henry. Your strength inspires me. One of the women in the group muttered. This is ridiculous. Drake stood, his gaze hardening. What's ridiculous is thinking it's okay to treat someone like this. You're lucky Henry has the grace to ignore your behavior, but that doesn't make it right. The businessman sighed. All right, fine. Can we move on now? Drake shook his head. It's not enough to just move on. We need to do better. We need to stand up for each other when we see this kind of thing. He turned to the crowd. This isn't just about Henry. It's about all the times we see something wrong and stay silent. That's how it keeps happening. A young woman in the crowd stepped forward, still recording on her phone. He's right. We can't just keep ignoring stuff like this. One by one, others voiced their agreement. The atmosphere shifted from one of discomfort to solidarity. The trio exchanged uneasy glances before grabbing their bags and walking away. A cheer rose from the crowd. Drake turned back to Henry. Do you need anything? Water, food, Henry smiled. You've already done more than enough, son, more than most would have. They sat and talked for nearly an hour, weaving through stories of Henry's youth, his struggles during the civil rights movement, and the small victories that gave him hope. When their flight was finally called, Drake helped Henry gather his things. Before boarding, he asked for a picture. I want people to hear your story, he explained. Later, Drake posted the photo with a heartfelt caption. Today I met Henry, a man who's seen more history than most of us can imagine. He's faced hate with strength and grace. Let's all try to be a little more like Henry and stand up for what's right. Love always wins. The post went viral within hours, sparking a wave of positivity online. Fans shared their own stories of standing against injustice, inspired by Drake's actions. At his charity concert that night, Drake dedicated his performance to Henry. This is for all the Henrys out there, he said. For those who've paved the way and for those still fighting. As he sang, the audience joined in, their voices rising in unison. It was a powerful reminder that even small acts of courage could create ripples of change. Drake left the stage with a renewed sense of purpose, thinking of Henry and his quiet resilience. This is for you, Henry. For more intriguing story, don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Subscribe to our channel to stay inspired by more stories that challenge norms and advocate for a better tomorrow. Hit the bell icon to never miss an update.